That time of the year, it's the Poncies, where we review our games of 2024. If you're here for all the hot takes, you might be a bit late. We're probably going to throw our games of the year in as a PS3 game from 2008, but don't let that rock you. Don't let that shock you. Don't let that throw you off what's going to be a great episode. Now, as always, the Poncies has become a bit of an internet sensation. It's bigger than the Game Awards. So let me throw you over to the absolutely wonderful Seb. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. And, joining me is illustrious RGT and Mr. Marathon Gaming himself, the hottest personality in Switch gaming right there. So, everyone, we got a full cast today. It's an award ceremony. We're dressed up to the T, as you can tell. A 7-Up shirt on one side. RGT's got his best black attire on right there. RGT Scotty's got a Chicago Bear on, like Chicago Bear hat on. So, we're ready to go here. Everybody, let me just preface this by saying our award ceremony is going to be crazy today. Absolutely crazy because we got so many different personalities on the panel here. I mean, you got these four guys here. Bobby sent his list over to me as well. So you mash up all these games and you get absolute chaos, especially when the math is involved. So everyone strap in. We're gonna have a good show today. So the rules, do y'all remember the rules, gentlemen?
No.
No.
Okay. All right. So these guys sent in their top 10 list, and their number one ranked game gets a score of 10 points. Nine, their number two ranked game got a score of 9 points, and so on and so forth, all the way to 10. Their 10th ranked game only got 1 point. So I calculated all your rankings up and then combined them with everyone else's rankings. And if there was duplicates, of course, those move up higher, because the mathematical score, their ranking moves up. So that's how we're able to calculate our top 10 games of the year. So anyone got any questions before I continue?
Are we
There's
going
no
straight
way.
in with the top 10, or are we going to do some honourable mentions that just tickled around the back door of the whole of the charts?
Okay, everybody, I'm just gonna, for the honorable mentions part, here's some prestige games that didn't quite make the cut, but they were amongst people's list, but they didn't make the cut of the top 10. All right, so, and these are games you heard of. I'm not gonna do like the obscure games, and all that kind of stuff. But so F1 Manager 23 didn't make the cut. On the outside
So,
looking in.
I wonder whose that was.
Yeah, I wonder as well. On the outside looking in, also Persona 3 from this year, Alan Wake 2 from last year, EA Sports College Football from this year, Remnant 2 from last year, and I'd probably say Cult of the Lamb is probably the next biggest one.
You got any
Didn't make
left,
the
George?
cut.
Or
I'm just thinking this is a
you're
car
down
crash.
to 3?
Yeah. Most games that would feature in people's normal top tens have just been left on the floor like bodies
Do you know
outside
what?
of a morgue.
I had Cult of the Lamb, I think, at number 10, and I removed it last second for a game which will probably get laughed at. So that would be fun.
All
Well,
mine
you-
will be laughed at. Don't worry, Scott. They were last year. They will
We-
be this year.
You can deny all knowledge of them if we get in the charts and you're embarrassed.
Okay, so like to preface this, we're for five different people with very different gaming tastes, and you can really tell that from everyone's list. So RGT, I'm extremely proud of you. Like, by the way, like the list you
Thank you.
sent me, it made me proud. It made me want to basically deputize you as like
I
as
know
the
what you're
indie
saying.
prince.
That I know. Oh, and also it's because there wasn't that much retro on there.
Oh yeah, for sure. You played a lot more modern games, and
Yeah.
also you played a good chunk of indie games. Like,
Yeah.
and I was just like, oh, I think I'm gonna crown him the indie prince. Like,
Yeah,
Ooh.
oh, thank you very much. Well, I think probably what
as
probably
the king of indies,
three
I
or
think I'm
four of
gonna
them
crown.
were recommended by you. So that's
Oh
why
yeah,
I
for sure,
played
for
them.
sure.
So
Inside job.
So,
Scotty, your list. I saw your list, and you're a Switch guy, so I kind of thought I knew what to expect going in, and then I was just not prepared. I really wasn't. Like, I just
if
wasn't prepared.
I could just say something, look, we all knew what was going to happen when you guys sat around that meeting table on the top floor in the penthouse office suite and had that meeting, and you knew you were bringing me in. You knew it was going
in
to
a
bring
hot
Anakin.
tub.
You brought it, yeah, in the hot tub, shirtless, bottomless, sandals on. You knew what was going to happen when you bring me in. So I don't want any complaints. Oh, we can't have that in there. Why Scott brought that to the table? Because that is what I bring. So you've made your bed. It's time to lay in it.
Wow.
This is a new Scott. I like it.
Like based on everyone's list, I think like everyone could be like crowned a certain nickname, based on their list. Like you are for sure Mr. Switch. Like you kept to that name. You like for sure saw your whole year through on that Switch. And I'm like, he's the last of the dying breed for the Switch fans right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like
I
you are
reckon
ripping hard.
my last, 10 Switch games out of 20, I reckon, came from Scott's YouTube channel. I was like, right, I'm going to buy that. I've never heard of that. I'll buy that. I'm going to buy that. I'm going to buy
I
that.
love his YouTube channel, by the
Brilliant,
way.
because there's so many good games that you've
Maybe
never heard of.
Maybe instead of like the Prince of Indies, you should be Mr. Impressionable. Because
Definitely.
like, yeah.
Tell me to play it, and I'll buy the t-shirt and the hat. Yeah. So
George's list didn't surprise me a little bit, except for like he had a couple of them that kind of threw me off. But like Bobby's list, he's super mainstream in gaming. Like I kind of know what to expect. If it's hot and popular at the time, Bobby's playing it. He had a couple of like of horror things that kind of threw me off. But then knowing his like taste in horror, I was like, okay, I can kind of get that. So. I want to, and we'll talk about a little bit more of Bobby's list and George's list as the show goes on, because you'll actually see some of those appearances here and you'll start to get a theme of everything going on. But the theme of this year, because I guess this year is so crazy as far as like, I don't feel like this is a mainstream gaming year. I feel like a lot of it's like, this is more of like everyone's taste was you had to find games for your taste this year, as opposed to last year where like it was so heavy as far as like game of the year contenders that across the board were like high ranking games. This year, I'm like, if you weren't a JRPG fan or RPG fan, you really had to like search out for games. So I feel like I read a survey the other day that said 68% of people on PC platforms and on consoles played mostly their backlog this year. And based on the list that y'all gave me, I can actually see that. I could legitimately see that. So at number 10, we had a five-way dance, a five-way tie that we're going to settle right here, right now.
All five Georges, and then he's done.
Just throw mine in a bin.
Can I just say?
Yeah, go ahead.
I am the god of the UCP, and I don't like this mutinous.
I was going to say there's a mutiny happening there, Captain.
Yeah, well, listen here, Roger the cabin boy. You're the lead mutineer. Let's get into the top 10. Let's have it.
All right, so here's how this is going to play out. We're going to do a quick little debate on why you think your game should move on and get the rankings. You could sacrifice your game if you want to, considering on a tie. You could sacrifice your game in order to get stronger points later on. To say like, hey, I sacrificed my game. I sacrificed my game. I should at least get a 0.5 like interest later on. So like keep that in mind, everybody. You can take the win now, or you can try to sacrifice yourself for later. So at number 10, we had a five-way tie between City Skylines, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Retro Realms Halloween / Ash versus the Evil Dead, Space Marine 2, and Stardew Valley 1.6. Gentlemen, I open up the floor to RGT, who submitted Stardew Valley 1.6. Why do you think this game should get the number 10 ranking?
I think it's a game that has been out for so long on so many platforms. It's been evolved. It's been updated. It's all been free updates the whole way through. It's an endless game if you want to play it that way. And I just think it's a game made by one man, and it's a beautiful, beautiful game that you can get lost in.
It's made by Baron Trump.
Anyway, sorry to be interrupted rudely. there. But yeah, I just think it's a fantastic game that's gone on for so many years and has still got a massive community, massive following, and it's just constantly evolved. And like I say, it's evolved for free, and it plays brilliant on every platform from Switch to PS5. So yeah, that's
Okay,
why.
thank you for that. Next up we have Scotty with Space Marine 2 was his number
Oof,
10 game.
big
I
hitter.
thought I thought someone else might have brought that in. I thought I had that high up. That just goes to show where we're heading for the rest of my list. That's probably the only worthy one in there that
Yeah,
actually came out. Yeah, that's not a worry. That's a bit worrying. Right. So, I mean, if I sacrifice it, there's going to be nothing else on my list that'd be higher up. That'd probably be as high as I go. So I'm going to
I'm not
defend
gonna
this
tell you.
to
I'm
the
not gonna tell
ground.
you the rankings
No.
on your list. This is the strategy here. So I'm like,
Yep.
you have to think, hey, was my game strong enough that it probably got higher up?
Hey, Seb, this isn't my first game of checkers, all right?
All
So,
right, I got you.
Space Marine. Now, I haven't actually played it all the way to completion. You've got to play it with friends, co-op. I've only played it myself, single player campaign. Seb, you know all about that. I've played it solo. That's how I've enjoyed the game. It's absolute carnage. I am a big fan of the whole Warhammer 40k lore. I've been
Okay.
playing a bit of Kill Team last couple of years sporadically. The game is very, very good. It's come very highly ranked. Out of those other games you've mentioned, I am going to say that should take the spot. It was a big, big
Yeah.
game for a lot of people. It was a very, very solid release this year. A lot of people waited for it, and when it did come, not many people had a bad thing to say about it. The artwork is absolutely beautiful. The way the Tyranids come swarming in, and it's just non-stop
You've said enough, Scott.
artillery firing. It
I
is so. It is good. It's very good. I've not played
Out of
enough of it.
all the games that were mentioned in the number 10 slot,
City Skylines, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Retro Realms, Halloween, / Ash versus the Evil Dead, Space Marine 2, and Stardew Valley 1.6. I would
I
like to
mean,
say before you go, George, I will sacrifice Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
I was going to
Ubisoft is
say,
officially
wow.
about to die.
to me,
So I'm like,
it came down to, in my mind, it came down to Prince of Persia versus Space Marine. And if you're vetoing yours, and I think Space Marine quite worthily gets that 10 spot, it came out last year, it's relatively well thought of. To see
mhm.
it this low down on the list does make me shit myself a bit for for what we're about to serve
Yeah,
up
I mean,
to
the
our
only other
beloved
game
listeners.
which I do very respect is the Retro Realm package, to be honest with you, because I did pick up myself. Obviously, I'm a big retro nerd, and that was absolutely beautiful. The way they had two franchises like
And
interlinked
the
like that
arcade
and
machines
cross
as
over,
well. Yeah.
you could be the villain from each of those platforms and literally go into the other world and dimension. So
Mm.
that is really cool. But again, I played it at Halloween only for a few hours. Obviously, I did my own video and raved about it. But I haven't played it enough. But I do think 40k overall is a more solid
I've
cinematic
heard a lot of
game
good
for
things. I've
me.
got a friend who's got Space Marines and absolutely loves it. He's been begging me to buy it so we can all play online. And yeah, it does look a good game.
They say it's the best Gears of War game since like the last Gears of War. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
I've heard a
I
lot
think
of
that's
comparisons with Gears.
I
yeah.
don't want to I don't want to drop a load on anyone's other recommendations, but
I'm ready for it.
this
Oh,
time last year at the Poncies, speaking of Ubisoft, Seb, I'm paraphrasing you here, but
Okay, go ahead.
you said Ubisoft just one after another, average games. I think you said 7 out of 10. They haven't gone above a 7 out of 10 for a long time. So if they're doing it that safe, do they deserve the top 10 spot? Is what I'm saying.
This was the first game in a long time that actually, cracked out of that 7 out of 10 spot. I'm not going to defend Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown because Ubisoft, if y'all haven't heard, is about to die 1,000, from a cuts from 1,000 deaths, like, or death from 1,000 cuts, I should say. But like I'm not going to defend this game. I think this game was great, but I think this game also is going to be like one of those that people don't necessarily look back at fondly of because like
Overpriced as well on release.
overpriced. It's a
Overpriced.
Metroidvania game. It looks, like we're gonna get like 10,000 of these. So I'm like, I'm fine with Space Marine 2 because I do think this is like a game that truly elevated a franchise into not just like a niche franchise, but more of a mainstream franchise as well.
Yeah,
Like,
because you got to think how many Warhammer games there are, Seb, right? There is in the tens and tens, and that's just modern all the way for a long time. It's probably
yeah,
near 100 games collectively, but this is the one where all those games are for Warhammer players or strategic game players. This is a game that people will play and they don't even know what Warhammer is because they respect it. It's a cut above everybody else. It really is. The other Warhammer games, I mean, it's a real standalone. If Warhammer as a business said, right, we're going to put all of our games, put forward one franchise, it would be that, and they would delete the others without even a sip of water.
Scotty,
that'd be
Scotty.
Yeah, sorry.
It's got his 10 spot.
Yeah, you won. You already won. I was like, the rest
We'll
of
see
the
you next
bodies
week,
are dead.
gentlemen.
Just keep
It's
dating.
done. Yeah,
next
see you
year.
later. Yeah, well done. Good choice.
All right.
I love the
Everyone-
passion, but it had already won.
You wait till he gets to number 1.
I know.
All right. All right. So Call of Duty Black Ops 6, the campaign is at the number 9 spot, accompanied by Dave the Diver and Dead Island 2. Everyone, I would like to throw in a recommendation here. All right, so let's just do a voting part because I think that's kind of more of everyone's speed. On the to be clear here, I want to say I voted for Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Like I nominated that game.
You did.
Yeah, oh man, the campaign is phenomenal.
Oh.
The campaign is like a James
campaign,
Bond like campaign, but if we're a show of hands here, I would just go with Dave the Diver. I think I've been talking about Dave the Diver for a year and a half now. I'm like,
I'd put it in there.
Yeah,
I enjoyed
me too.
my time with it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
gun to the head. I would say that because we talked, Seb, about the co-op mode. Sorry, about the campaign mode, and you made me want to play it. I still haven't, but out of those 3, it'd probably be the one I would ditch off first. So
Has anyone played it on Switch?
Do you know what? On the go, what a different experience that would be as well. That'd probably be number 1 spot. Maybe that'd be next year once it gets to the backlog. But Dave the Diver was on the Poncies last year, guys. In 2023, it featured.
Right, Thread Shop. It's done. It's gone. What's next?
I was the one who nominated it for last year, and like everyone jumped on the train.
I didn't play it until this year, so that's why it was nominated. So.
I think put it through.
I think it's
All right,
fantastic.
so
Absolutely
number
fantastic.
9, Dave the Diver.
2
All right.
times Poncie Award winner.
Boy, it's
Go on,
rising
Dave.
up the ranks here.
Go on,
Let me highlight the ones that have won so we can go back over. Okay, so at number 8, we have a 4-way tie. And this is the most ratchet 4-way tie. The ratchet tie I think we're going to get all show long. And it's I Am Your Beast, Rise of the Ronin, Trek to Yumi, and The Witcher 3.
Oh,
none of mine.
oh.
This is why I say this year is just rancid in a lot of ways. Because I'm like, none of these games feel like they're...
What were they again, Seb? Witcher 3?
It's
The Witcher 3 is all you
Witcher
need to know.
3, Trek to Yumi, Rise to Ronin, and I Am Your Beast. I voted for I Am Your Beast. Bobby voted for Rise of Ronin. Trek to Yumi surprisingly came from George, and The Witcher 3 came from Scotty.
Listen,
10 years later.
I enjoyed my time with Witcher 3, and
What
I
about
think
the Switcher.
I spent most of my time on Switcher 3, which is impressive to say the least, because it's like playing it underwater in a diving boat.
I played the N64 version on the go.
Yeah, whatever that might look like. Yeah, the Game Boy version of the N64 port of Switcher 3.
Look, why play a game in the comfort of your own home on a big TV when you could be sitting in your garden in the freezing cold, squinting in the sun, trying to see a
make it look
12-inch
better.
display? Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, Switcher 3 then. I actually think I'm going to throw my weight behind Trek to Yomi's great and all that, and it's enjoyable and it's impressive from an artistic point of view, and the way they've captured that sort of Japanese film style is impressive. But although I haven't played it, I want to get into character as Bobby here and say
Rise of the Ronin?
yes.
Wow.
I have heard
What, you haven't
about
played
it,
it?
to be fair.
I've played it. This is...
Someone's got to do their bit for Bobby, and I'm here, and I also know how much he loved that title, and
I think that's fair.
I respect that.
I was gonna go with-
I haven't played any of them, so I won't vote on this because my vote would be null and void. So
I was gonna go Witcher 3 because I'm like, at least it's universally like above an 8 out of 10. The rest of these games got like they're very, very 6 out of 10 games.
I know that, but I
But
think
I think that's fair. Let's
it
go with Rise of the
deserves it.
Ronin here.
Yes.
Let's go with Rise of the Ronin here.
I'll sleep tonight.
Everyone's
And The
fine with that
Witcher
one?
3's been out. It has been out many years, hasn't it?
Mhm.
To be fair, I
think
mean
that was
that's
2015. So I think
But
it's 10 years
To be
old.
honest, when you said
DLC.
Rise of Ronin, I thought you were going to say Rise of the Robots, and I was like, RGT, simmer down.
Oh, it's a hidden gem.
It really is.
All right, so everyone, this part is a crazy one. All right, so we have at the number 7 spot, Expeditions. This crazy sounding game was the Par Lap Horse Racing Challenge.
I wonder who
And
that was. I wonder who that was.
and it's all both of these are tied with MLB 24.
And I wonder who that was.
Another great game. Respect that, George.
Nice choice, Seb. I had it a bit higher, but I like what you've done there.
All right, so gentlemen, what so Scotty, I want to give the floor to you. You voted for Par Lap Horse Racing Challenge.
No,
what is
hold
this
on,
game?
hold on.
I had to Google this.
I want at least say it with a straight face, Seb. Come on.
Par
Have a
Lap
sip of water
Horse
and try it.
Racing Challenge.
Yes.
Tied for number 7.
That sounds like a voiceover from the game.
Yeah.
I was trying to use my best Gran Turismo voice.
It's great. Well, for the Gran Turismo horse racing games, you've got to admit, Farlap has shown its teeth. It's an evolution of the G1 Jockey series, and Scott fell in love with it. We both have a soft spot for a horse racing stable simulator. Quite
I was going
why.
to say riding. We've got a soft spot for riding, I was going to say.
We're both equestrian lovers. Make of that what you will.
Didn't even know this was a real game.
But I, as much as I love the idea of Farlap being here, I do believe, in fact, I don't believe, I know it to be fact, that it is a bastardized port of a mobile game, which is available for free of charge.
Incorrect.
Ooh.
Okay, so what is it?
Okay, so I knew this was going to come up, so I
You can have a
downloaded
horse
the
off.
game. I downloaded the game. I played it. Completely different. So much more. There's different gameplay. Is in the control. So on the phone, you just tap literally like a rhythm game, and that's how you go about your races. That's just the gameplay of the race. So in the actual game, I'm defending this to the ground. I've got my hold on. Let's stick
He's
with
on
this.
fire today.
So we've
Fine.
already lost Charles. He's
It
rolling
is-
around the
it-
floor. Right, hold on. So you've got
This is-
stamina.
It's
You've
like
got stamina
Biden
as
versus
well.
Trump.
Right, you've got stamina as well to manage. You've got all different horses that you can breed. We'll save the breeding for the after 9 p.m. show because that gets real freaky. But you've got different stables, different
How?
trainers. The game is. Do you know what? I've actually got one of the actors from Farlap Horse Racing Challenge from the actual
It
game.
has voice
He's
acting?
gonna. Yeah, so I've got one of the actors just with me now. He's just going to say a few words quickly. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There we go. You've heard straight from one of the actors there from
Well,
Farlap Horse Racing
Straight
Challenge.
from the horse's mouth, Scott. Don't leave a
Straight
joke
from
on
the
the
horse's
floor.
mouth. That's it.
Wow.
But I think, right, everyone loves a horse racing game. G1 jockey in the arcade, even at home. Everyone loves it. There has not been, you know, when you get a game which is like a perfect between simulation and arcade, a bit like Burnout did for racing games. You know, you get that crossover.
Yeah.
Some people prefer simulation, some people prefer arcade. And Farlap nailed that. So if you're serious and you're into like your betting on horses and things like that, you've got that management aspect. And if you just like the fun racing, it was a hybrid, perfect thing. It just blended those two together. And I played that game for like 30, 40 hours. Went through all the races, different cups, competitions. There's rivals. There's different
30
awards and perks.
hours.
It's got a really in-depth story mode. It's got a really good. I'm going to
Okay.
say it. It's got a solid career mode.
Fine.
Solid.
Okay. That's Scotty's
And
tirade.
you can go online.
That's Scotty's tirade of praise for Pippa Funnel's horse racing stables. What was the other games?
Oh, sorry. Can I just say one more thing?
Yeah,
No.
go ahead.
Just to
Go
wrap
ahead.
up. One more thing. Just a quick one. I'm going to ask a question to you quickly, okay? It's a rhetorical question, okay? What do gay horses eat? Hey. That's all I want to say.
I'm gonna have to
Okay.
edit that
Oh.
out, aren't I?
Yeah. That's gone. That's gone.
What?
I thought
Okay,
we was
so
allowed one. I thought we was allowed one.
I said shit at the top of the episode.
This is a crazy
It's
one.
another
You're gonna
one,
just
God.
have to do a disclaimer at the very top. Viewer discretion is advised. All right, so another simulator game, Expeditions. I'm guessing
Hmm.
this is the Mud Runner game, right?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
RGT, why does this deserve to be in the number 7 spot?
Yes, why?
Um, I put 130 hours into this.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
Oh my
And
God!
um,
Shirtless or fully clothed?
oh no, completely in the buff. Um,
Does
so
Mrs. RGT pull on your nipple rings when you play that to sort of simulate the ground moving beneath you, make it
that's
more
the only
realistic?
way. That's the only way I play. If she's not in, I'm not playing. So um,
No, no kidding. You got 130 hours out of this?
yes.
Wow.
I was a big fan of SnowRunner. Me and George played that a lot online. We really enjoyed that. We had some great times on there. Got expeditions. I mean, George didn't bother.
I've been playing
But
Mudrunner lately, BTW.
oh, really? Oh, thanks for letting me
Wow.
know. So I've been
I
playing.
don't even think it's co-op.
Oh no. But no. So obviously, I followed up with. I
Yeah,
love
thanks,
SnowRunner so
mate.
much, so I pre-ordered this, played it from day one. Really enjoyed it. It's that bit of a twist on it, so it's taken it from the more sort of trucking and in the mud and doing deliveries to going out and doing literally expeditions, 4-wheel drives, customizing them so you can get to different areas, different terrains. Had a nice twist on the game. There was that much different. That was almost like a new title. I shouldn't downcredit a game that I've put in myself. The online mode was, it might be different now. They've done a few updates, but for when I did play the online mode, was not great. The online mode, it wasn't as good as what SnowRunner was. They might have, as of recording, they might have corrected that since then. But as a single player game, I just loved it. I love plotting the routes.
Wow.
I'd really customize a 4-wheel drive I had to the maximum. So
If I
really,
if
it
I
was
may
brilliant.
cut in, I think a lot of the sort of anti-praise that was lumped on Expeditions multiplayer mode was really based around what happened to you and I in SnowRunner. So it must be a series built into the series is that people weren't progressing their own maps on there if they weren't hosting. And that happened with you and I
Um,
with SnowRunner, didn't it?
it did, but this was even worse because it wouldn't. So if you went into a game together and you would do, say there was a mission to go and get a truck that was drowned in a lake, you'd drive all the way out there, plot your route, get the truck out, and then if you didn't get it back to there, you couldn't then just save and then come back and play the game. It just reset it,
It's
which I
always those games have always been a bit like that, though, haven't they?
yeah,
You
but
and I are
we
a bit more used to it, I
yeah,
suppose.
but don't forget though, when we used to play SnowRunner, we would come halfway back, wouldn't we? And when we'd stop, we'd be able to save, come out of the menu, and then our
We
trucks
would.
would be. You couldn't do that, and it was very almost like special missions just for a co-op mode that wouldn't affect your single player ways. You wanted to progress together through the modes. You see,
That's the complaints I heard about.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was very, and that sort of it knocked it down a few notches for me. But as a single player game, I absolutely loved it. I just got lost in that world where you'd plot your route and you'd go off for. I mean, some of the missions just to deliver something or collect some data, some Earth seismic data would take me 3 hours in our time, and I loved it. Just that working your way through and getting fuel and bits. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant game.
Yeah, there
And
was a
RGT.
period on. Sorry, there's a period on the show where you was talking about it, RGT, for a few weeks, like
mm,
very, very passionately,
mm,
exactly
mm,
like you are now. So
mm,
it's good that it's like with these awards, it makes you go back and look, and you forget about some of the games. It might be months ago, and you forget
yeah.
about them, don't you? You look back and you realise there was a period where that was all you was obsessed with and
Mm.
playing for a good few weeks. So
Yeah, exactly. I
yeah,
think what it
it's
is
good
with
that you had a
these,
good time with
I
it.
think if a game sets out to, give you a feeling or set out to what they want to do, that does it. It wants you to be in the wilderness, trying to find your way through it, and it does it perfectly. You feel you're alone, you feel you've got your truck, you feel you have to try and get some more fuel, and they do it perfectly. So yeah, I think it's like I say, 130 hours in, I thought it was a fantastic game. So that was why I think
Fair
it was
play.
worthy of that slot.
RGT, one question for the listeners. Where'd you play this on?
PS5.
Okay, gotcha.
Does it have a Switch port? Seriously?
I think it does. I played one of them, I
Um,
think, on the Switch.
SnowRunner's
One
on the
of
Switch.
Yes, SnowRunner I played.
Snowrunner and Mudrunner are on there, but I didn't know if Expeditions has made it.
I used
But
to put a lot
Okay,
of
so
screenshots on our Discord because it does. That's another thing. It runs really well and it does look really good. on a
So I
PS
pulled it.
subscription.
I pulled up the official site for it while you were talking, and it's for PC, Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series S and S.
Wow.
So yeah,
Expeditions on the Switch. Get me a front row seat to that car crash.
But no, I
Wow.
loved it. Fantastic.
God.
Imagine playing it handheld in a truck. Imagine the couldn't get any realistic.
Imagine nailing the Switch to your steering wheel while you're out back playing
Six
that one.
axis controls.
All right, George, you're up. Why should MLB 24 get the nod over both of these other games?
It shouldn't, but if you want a passionate defense of this game, I'll give you one. Once again, the updates have been updated and the rosters are there. There's been a switch up in your progression through the Road to the Show mode, which, you know, I was grateful for. At least now I'm a bit like Madden. You kind of get a little bit of a rough cutscene of your character doing something different. He normally just to sit in the stadium locker room, and that was about it. Other than that, there's very few meaningful changes to me. I play as a pitcher, and that feels very stale. I have heard that they're trying to shape it up and rework it for the next iteration, which makes me nervous because I only play it one way, and that's like I play MLB very much like a turn-based Japanese RPG, basically. And if they take that away from me, I will never play it again. But in
Wow.
stacked up against the premium looking likes of Expeditions, which I doff my cap to and do appreciate as a great game, not only gameplay wise, but in looks.
May I say
Especially
something though before you sacrifice MLB? The top before keep this in mind, everyone. The top three games have already been decided. The math won on those top three. So so
Ooh.
you can actually have some fight and not save it for those top three because those have already been decided. 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, and 7, the ones we're at right now, are the only ones remaining that have a tie.
Well, I will sacrifice MLB to the Expeditions gods. It's a game that I've had my eye on, and I think it's great. As for Far Lap Racing, I don't know. I guess we'll have to push RGT and Scott in a room and let them duck it out. Horsepower versus horsepower.
Very
guys.
good.
Scotty, you're all right. So, Expeditions, 130 hours. You played Far Lap, horse racing, and you said it was an immaculate 30 hours. I want to ask you. No, I'm preferencing this because
Listen. The only reason why RGT played over 100 hours is because he forgot to turn off the PlayStation. He left it running for days.
I did, yeah.
That's a fair
did.
point. That's a fair point.
And before.
That's a fair point. So, guys, would y'all like to tie and then have a 0.5 deficit going into the rest of the rest of the categories going forward?
Listen,
We're not going to reward ties around here.
I played MLB, the show. I'm assuming it's the show. I thought it was a cracking game. Now, I just really wanted to. I know Far Lap's not going to win. I just wanted to raise awareness for what a great title it is. I feel like I've achieved.
He's so humble. Fine, it's winning.
I feel like I've come on and I've raised awareness for Far Lap Horse Racing Challenge. Everyone's heard it. Go and play it. Now, I'm happy to put it to one side. We can move on, and you two can decide which game goes forward.
Fine. In that case, it's Expeditions.
Hey, sounds good to me. Winner, chicken dinner. All right, so moving on now. We have another three-way tie between Ship of Fools, an excellent game if I do say so myself, Yakuza, Like a Dragon, if the original one, not Infinite Wealth, and Balatro.
We're getting
everyone.
Big games.
And we're now getting into some heavy hitters.
Hang on. Let me do the noble and decent thing. Look at this.
Very Yakuza-like.
Yakuza is done. It was not this year's game. It was the previous year. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Actually, 2020, by the way, George.
Right. Shows how long I've been playing it. I racked up an insane amount of hours on that bad boy in the end. And listen, in the end, I was sick of it. But when I've cooled on reflection, yes, it was nice. Do I like the JRPG turn it's taken? Not exactly, but it does make it more of a couch play, less stressful game, which I can see
Mhm.
would attract a larger audience. But yeah, for the sake of it not really being a modern title, I'm quite happy to slit its throat at the foot of Mount Solea.
All right, so that leaves Ship of Fools, which was nominated by Scotty, and Balatro, which was nominated by myself. Before we begin, RGT, do you have a
Mhm.
tie-breaking vote here?
You know what? I haven't played any of these either. um, I would say out of the two, if I was gonna if I had to go between Ship of Fools or Balatro, what I was going to play, Balatro being poker based is not really my sort of game. Even though people say it's a very addictive game, it's a very that sort of roguelike element to a card game. But I've always been interested ever since I saw Scotty show Ship of Fools on his channel. So if I had to pick a game to play now, I would pick Ship of Fools. But whether that sways the vote, I don't know.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
it's down to Ship of Fools versus Balatro.
Hmm.
Yes, George, your tie-breaking vote. What say you? Everyone, he's
Do you want me to help?
contemplating to the
See if I can help
heavens.
persuade you.
No, I'm lobbing it out there. I actually think, yeah, Scotty, give me your kind
Yeah,
of give me
sure.
Your
your
pitch.
blurb on Ship. Give me your
I'll give you
pitch.
a quick little 90-second
Apprentice,
sum up.
great game. Everybody gather around. Scotty's got a great game. Best game ever made.
So
Hey George, while he's
Balatro.
talking, I'm gonna ask a favor. Can you give permissions on the call for me to show a video?
I thought I already had, but yes, two
Okay,
secs. Leave it with me.
thank you.
So Balatro is a very, very good game, and rightly so. It's had all of its praises and got everything it deserves. So at the end of the day, is it going to benefit from a UCP Poncie sticker on its box on the cover? Of course it would. We're the biggest show out there.
Yeah,
Everyone
that's the
wants to have a
highest
sticker on the
award if
box.
possible.
Exactly. However, Team 17 Ship of Falls is going to be the lesser known. Team 17 do not miss a beat. I'm not even going to name some of their titles. They are the king of putting big
Very true.
swings up on that base. Hit that one in the crowd with your MLB game. They hit it out the park every single time. They do not miss a trick. And that game is absolutely solid in terms of not just co op, but you can have as much fun playing it on your own like I did. It's just a hell of a lot more challenging. It's a really, really good roguelike game. And I did so many runs on it. Again, I probably did 30, 40 hours on it. And I got to the final boss only a few times. There's so much replayability in it. It's such a genius game. And I quite like some of these just say Nordic? What do you call the sort of sea life? Not aquatic, but you know what I mean. Those sort of nautical. That's the right one, isn't it?
Nautical.
Those games, they are really, really fun. Sea shanties. If anyone's listening right now and they're parked up or in a safe place, just while I'm waffling on, check the trailer out, and you'll be swerved straight away. It's a really, really good game. Anyone that plays it goes one more run, one more run. It's a sort of game that makes you late for work or late for school because you won't be going to bed on time. As soon as you play it and finish a run, you'll go, oh, maybe if I did this, I had a different loadout or a different perk. It's really, really good. It's punishing if you make the wrong mistake, but it's a perfect balance where it's not too hard, but there's enough challenge. I honestly could talk about it for a very long time, but I feel like that's enough out there to tell you what's up, baby.
Hmm.
I like that. I like that. Speaking of a game that makes me say one more run on a lot of different platforms, as you said, multi-award winner Balatro has taken the hearts of millions. You can play it on mobile now, which it won Apple's Game of the Year this year. It
So we're
also
going to
won.
say it's a mobile game, and that's what we had against
Hold on,
Farlek.
hold on, hold on.
No, it's okay. Carry on.
First came out on PC, by the way. First came out on PC. Made by one guy as well. So
Wow.
speaking to the heart of RGT, made by one guy. Also, multi-million dollar game now. Also has a collaboration with tons of other indie projects. It put so much on the map that other indies, higher indies, Dave the Diver, you name it, said, "Hey, we got to work with this guy. Can we put our faces on
Wow.
your cards going forward?" Balatro is a game that I think like even if you don't like poker, the roguelike elements make you want to play more of it. It made people who don't even like doing math actually want to do math. It is an incredible piece of art. It is one of those games to where I think like if there's only one game I would nominate this year for the Hall of Fame, I think it would be Balatro because I think like
Wow.
Yeah.
I do think out of all the games we're going to talk about going forward in this episode today, Balatro is the only one that I think like has a good shot at being a game of the decade contender. Like one of those games to
Wow.
where
Wow.
no,
It makes
yeah,
sense.
like
Yeah.
one of those games to where like if we look back from the in 2030 and we said what was the most revolutionary games of the 2020s, I think Balatro is going to come up on a lot more people's lists than
Yeah.
any other
Or
game we talk
Anno.
about today. Yeah, or Anno.
I mean, I might be
Oh,
being a
look, he
bit
soon perked up
salty.
then. Look.
Yeah, I might be being a bit salty because I mean I had a bit of a bad experience with Balatro because I played
I can
strict
understand that.
Balatro with Pasta, and
Oh
obviously it
gosh.
wasn't. Yeah, it didn't end well. Um, so that's probably why I'm being a bit biased,
It
perhaps.
did end well for one
Understandable.
of you, though.
Yeah, Pasta had a good time. I mean, I ended up with a pink eye again. So, who's the real loser?
All right, everyone. Would you like to tally your vote, Scotty? Are you sticking with your guns here?
I am aware that it won so many awards last year that it does deserve really to be higher up in any award list. So with that, he's still thinking about that pink eye. With that, I'm happy to pass Balatro through. I just think Ship of Fools is a hidden gem. Maybe got you guys will play it and it will be on your 2025
Well, the only
Poncie
reason I
Awards.
haven't played Ship of Fools yet is because I just forgot to buy it. But you've just
I-
reminded me, so I will be
I-
buying it. But I've always
I'm
wanted
going to
to buy
pass.
it.
I'm actually going to do the opposite. I'm going to pass Ship of Fools through because I've played both of these games.
Ooh.
But
And Scotty,
Ooh, that's a
I
turn.
love your humble nature here. And I do think Ship of Fools is an underrated game that people should check out. And Balatro has gotten many awards. So I'm passing Ship of Fools through.
Wow,
Everyone.
Jesus.
great, cool.
So our number 4 and 5 category.
Can we just have for the
A
late
recap?
arrivals a recap up until
Yeah.
number 5?
Sounds good.
We're halfway now, aren't we? So let's just see what we've already put through this
All right.
pile of mediocrity that we've already selected.
At number 10, we have Space Marine 2. At number 9, we have Dave the Diver. At number 8, Rise of the Ronin. Gosh. Expedition got our number 7 spot. Ship of Fools it has number 6. And number 5, we are going to hit the real murderer's row before we get to like some of the heavyweight contenders. Gentlemen, how are you feeling about our list so far?
I think
And
it's solid.
I think.
Yeah,
In a
I'm-
universe where solid is a different matter.
Yeah,
I-
for sure.
I'm living in a world where I'm very glad, based on what Scotty just said about the Christmas activities at the Longhorn Ranch, that we got out. But other than that, some of the picks, I could tell
Wow.
whose they are
Wow.
on the way in. But up until this point, I've been very pleased by the games that have been put forward and mentioned. I like everyone's impassioned defense, apart from me, who's just rolled over like a scared dog at every single point of opposition that's come my way. But I'm playing the long game. If I get to number 4 spot, you're done, guys. Basically, so
He has been very gracious, He's been very gracious. So,
let's hit it. What's number 5 then? What's the score here? Seb, take it away, Seb Keeley.
okay. All right. So this one's gonna be crazy. All right, so number 5, we have Horizon Forbidden West, Path of Exile 2, Undisputed, V Rising, and Vampire Survivors.
Which one of those was mine?
I've got 2 in there.
I don't think you had a dog in this race, George.
Good
Just
job I was
putting it
so
out there.
humble on the way in then, wasn't it?
Vampire
Yeah.
Survivors was last year as well, I think, at the Poncies. So that's again a 2-time. That's a returning contender.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Mm.
to break it down a little bit, break it down. Let's see. Let me make sure I have this correct. All right. RGT voted for Horizon, which didn't surprise me. I think he was loving that game like
Mhm.
this year, right?
Mhm.
You've
Yeah.
played
so-
Forbidden West now, finished it.
Did you
What?
finish Horizon Forbidden West?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Finished ages ago.
Oh, that's amazing.
I mean,
Just for my own personal intrigue, have you got Burning Shores yet?
I have, but I haven't played it yet.
Play it before you get skill fade. Play it before you get skill fade because everything
You
is.
did say that. To be fair, you did.
Everything is apexed, and if you go back to it after, you're going to get absolutely hounded on
You're
it.
gonna get wrecked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So give me 1 second, everybody. All right. So all right, here we go. RGT had Forbidden West, Path of Exile was Bobby, Undisputed Marathon Gaming, V Rising was myself, and Bobby also had Vampire Survivors.
I had that as well, Vampire Survivors.
Yeah, that's the reason why I got up here because two people voted for it.
Yeah, yeah. I think me and Bobby we'd been on it, played it the last sort of 2 or 3 months, I think.
Yeah,
which is obviously why we were sort of.
I told you I love Vampire Survivors.
Yes, I'd sort of got into that style of gameplay when Scott had recommended to me Bro Tato, and it just got me hooked. And then Vampire Survivors was out, and I carried on with Bro Tato for ages. And then once I jumped on because Seb had recommended Vampire Survivors, that game is so addictive for just using one analog stick.
Yeah,
that game it knows how to. It is that one more play game. It is superb. Yeah,
Did you say it knows or Dick knows?
Sorry.
Did you say it knows or Dick knows?
This is sorry.
What would you think I said?
Dick knows.
No, well, I said it knows.
Okay.
Are you sure?
No reason to drop that in there, but. My God.
Just I know a guy called Richard Knows, and I just wondered if you knew him.
No, I'm not familiar with Dick.
Okay. It's the Poncies. It's the Poncies, isn't it? It's the Poncies.
It's gonna get silly, It's gonna get silly. Yeah, but
so back to yourself at 4 a.m.
Do I have to? Do I have to push the case for Forbidden West as well?
Oh yeah, you do.
None
of us have played this indie.
Yeah. Forbidden West to me is the ultimate and best open world RPG ever made.
Yeah.
Wow.
That I've played, without a doubt. It's the best looking. It's the nice, unique story that carries on from the first game. It's so well acted. The controls are really good. And again, beautiful game to look at. Even to the stage where Mrs. RGT would come in the room and look and just saying, wow, that is superb on the PS5. That looks fantastic. And I just think, I've played a lot of Assassin's Creed games. I've played a lot of open world games, but this one, I'd loved Horizon Zero Dawn, but George always said to me, once you play Forbidden West, seriously, you wait till you play Forbidden West. And he was absolutely 100% right. And like I say, the best open world RPG I have ever played. Just a complete all-rounder. Superb. So, Vampire Survivors was... I've always said that Breath of the Wild was my ultimate, but I think when you can take it to the next level, like this game does through acting, which obviously Zelda doesn't have, through the graphical style, it is just phenomenal, that game. And I've spoken to people before who are big fans of like Assassin's Creed and things, and I've said, seriously, if you love Assassin's Creed, like Origins, this game is for you. If you like the open world Assassin's Creed,
whoever this gameplay is, by the way, they're playing it like me. They're going full melee on everything. I love it. No bow and arrow.
This is my gameplay, by the way.
Yeah.
Is it? Is this how you play it?
Yeah, for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant game. And I know I've got 2 votes in this, and I love them for different reasons, but, superb.
Which one of your 2?
Which one of your children are you keeping?
Yeah.
Forbidden West. Forbidden West. Vampire Survivors is gone.
Wow. So what's left in this? What's left in the fight then? So we've got Horizon Forbidden West versus.
I'll tell you what's left in the fight. The most anticipated boxing game of a generation.
Wow, that's where we're going with this one.
Yeah, undisputed. Oh, dude.
That link was seamless.
Listen. Now, I can't, say anything negative about what RGT has just said there about that game. And I was about to praise it. Then I remembered, hold on a minute, I'm still in this race. Undisputed. Now, everyone loved the Fight Night franchise. Fight Night Champion, arguably one of the greatest of the franchise. And that came out back in 2011. It was such a long time since we had another boxing game. People like myself traded the game in, rebought it, traded it in, rebought it about 3 times. It got ditched by EA. They went on to do UFC as it got more popular. We waited so long for a fighting game. It was rumored for years, I would say, probably since about 2015 it was going to have another game. They finally came. It came with such a high expectation that, of course, people are going to moan about it and say it's not quite what it should have been, RGT yourself included, but we're still friends. It's fine. Don't hold it against you. Now, online, I agree. It is very, very glitchy, but to play it just solo on yourself, offline, career mode, solid. I am a multi-weight divisional champion. People will argue that there's not enough boxers in the franchise. Now you've got to think how much money and licensing there is to get all those boxers on there. It would cost a hell of a lot of money, and there is still in each weight division. There's like 10, licensed boxers. Of course, you get the odd fantasy mixed match one, and there's a few legends. But that's what you want sometimes. You want to get a legend in there. But I've done heavyweight championship, middleweight, cruiserweight, welterweight, featherweight. I've played it again for a good 20, 30 hours. I even thought about going for the platinum, going for silly things like 10,000 jabs. I thought it was a really, really solid game. There could have been more mini games with training and stuff like that. But in terms of if you wanted to scratch that itch, which you haven't had since Fight Night Champion, it delivered. I've tried lots of indie games in terms of boxing, and not one of them has been able to come close. Is it what we wanted? Perhaps not. Are we satisfied with it? Yes. I'm just grateful that someone brought this to the table, and I just think it hasn't got the respect it deserves. I think it's a real solid game. Up against Horizon, yeah, of course it's going to struggle. But, if you want to make a subcategory for best sports game, I'll put that and Far Lap Horse Race Challenge straight at the top.
To be fair, last year, to go over some things from last year we did have some categories that we voted for to kind of flesh the award show out a little bit.
That was to appease the sponsors, Seb.
Yeah, that's for sure. You gotta go where the money takes you. You gotta go where the money takes you.
The Saudis in Riyadh have got a lot of money, so sometimes, guys, you just got to say, yes, please, smile and take the sponsor.
I'd sell out for sure.
For what my humble opinion is worth, Horizon Forbidden West, I thoroughly enjoyed. I thought it was a gangbusters game, but has it shot its bolt? I think it might have done. Undisputed is
RGT or the game
shot its bolt. That's fun.
Yeah. RGT's a withered husk. He's shot his bolt that many times over the last year that there's nothing left of him. He's a desiccated coconut pile.
I have played both this year. I bought Undisputed day one. We were lucky enough to have early access to that at WASD Live.
Yeah.
Which showed great potential when we played it. There was something there. What came out wasn't that, in my opinion. It was, if this game came out 15 years ago, it would have been a great game on the system it was on. I found it quite shallow. I found it, the career mode, there was not enough depth.
One-dimensional.
Yes. You didn't have very many arenas. The cutscenes are all a bit the same when you knock someone down. After a while, I've played all the way through and got world champion, defended, and I've done all that. I put a good 20 hours in, I think 15, 20 hours. And I did enjoy the game. But I think if that game had come out at $25, $30, I think it would have been about where it was. I think it only done as well as it did because it was the only boxer game there was.
So where is this settling down? Because is this the last two titles we've got in this race, Seb?
Give me 1 second. I'm working some magic here.
RGT, if you played it in a hot tub with a jar of peanut butter, would you think any highly of it?
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay.
Is peanut butter that much of a commodity?
Is it on Switch, Scott?
No. This
may be the only non-Switch game that I actually brought to the table.
That does speak volumes.
And do you know what? I played Undisputed and Spider-Man 2 this year, and one of them made this list and the other didn't.
That's mind-boggling.
You've put Undisputed on and not Spider-Man.
That is mind-boggling, y'all.
But that's the great.
Stay in school, kids. Stay in school.
That's that's a great thing about games, though, isn't it? Because some things, they
Hit harder for some, yeah.
They do, and it's brilliant. Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Give me 1 second, y'all. My
UCP's own sorting hat there in his Hogwarts hoodie. He's deciding which one of these games is going to go through, and I don't know which one it is.
Well, Horizon's
all right.
up
So
against
we have Horizon Forbidden West, Path of Exile 2, Undisputed, V Rising, and Vampire Survivors. I think V Rising is better than a lot of these, but I'm going to take my pick off the board here. I want to throw something out here. So Horizon Forbidden West won our Game of the Year a couple of years ago. So can we remove that one from the board since it already got?
I was late to it. So yeah, that's fine.
I think that's a must.
Bobby voted for Path of Exile 2, but that's an early access game. So can we move that from the board?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it's not finished. Yeah,
no, it's not.
So I think this comes down to Undisputed versus Vampire Survivors at this point. I think the passion is there for Undisputed. But on the other hand, 2 people voted for Vampire Survivors.
And in all due respect, not everyone's a boxing fan, and they are quite niche. That sort of title brought to the table. So it might upset a lot of people if it goes through. But hey,
well, before we get to the top 3, we could just run through some categories. What's our best sports game? All that sort of jazz. What do you reckon?
Yeah,
though that comes down to MLB and this then,
and college football. If we drag it out, the honorable mentions.
Nah.
And Farlap horse racing from 29.
And Hello Kitty roller cruiser.
I think. Okay, so. Full disclosure, everyone. Like, he voted for Undisputed pretty high. You voted for MLB pretty high. College football was my number 10. So I'm like, it was on the outside looking in. So I would probably remove college football from that equation.
Let's do rock, paper, scissors.
No, hang on a minute, because Undisputed is our top sports game of the year based on that maths, beating out MLB and the others. Mm-hmm. And therefore, Vampire Survivors becomes even though that's a 400-year-old game, Vampire Survivors becomes our 5th game, Seb, are we at?
Yeah, it's 5th. Let me type that down. Sports game of the year.
Scott's
take
happy.
The victories you can get. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Eddie Hearn's happy.
He needs an eating game. He needs an eating game.
That's all I need to do is get it in the charts, and then it looks like I'm going to be granted that big fight against Marathon Gaming versus Jake Paul coming soon on Netflix.
Oh, you'd destroy him.
God, that's a lot of exercise. That is a lot of exercise. All right, so our last and final tie before we get down to the nitty gritty, the big 3, as I like to call it. All right. This one is going to be.
It looks like he's not ready for it.
I'm not. I'm really not.
It's like he just looked and realized what was there.
I think one of these should automatically be eliminated, but we'll get to this. All right. So we have Silent Hill 2. Ooh. We have Star Wars Outlaws. Under the Waves. Red Dead Redemption. Re-released on the Switch. And Metaphor Refantasio.
Oh, come on. Get rid of the Wastes and Strays and let's get this down. It should be higher. Can I use my half vote? I saved earlier to move our Star Wars Outlaws up to number 3? Or is this at...
No. This is number
7 out of 10 game.
Yeah, it should be 7th.
This is game. You said, George, 7 out of 10 game. It was on the thumbnail.
This is number 4, by the way. So I'm like, in George's defense, he saved up a lot of goodwill. Has anyone ever, before we get started with the debate, though, has anyone played any other game on this list?
What were they again?
Because
I heard Star Wars Outlaws 7 after I flatlined.
Yeah, Star Wars Metaphor Refantasio, Red Dead Redemption re-released for the Switch. It was specified the Switch version. Silent Hills 2, Star Wars Outlaws, and Under the Waves.
Under the Waves was mine. I've played Red Dead originally 2 or 3 times through when it was originally released in about 1937, but I haven't played the Switch version.
Game of the decade.
It's really to be honest, weighing in for what it's worth, I've got the Switch version and it plays really well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's a full fat no compromise. Admittedly, it's a 360 PS3 era game, but it's a full fat no compromise game as well, and it does look incredible. And if the Switch is lacking kind of gritty open worlders, this scratches that itch really, really well. They're missing a GTA. They've got this.
GTA 4.
I don't. They need that. It's not easily dismissed.
If you line people up and you went through, look, if you went through a dozen games and you said which one of these is most memorable or greatest memories with, I guarantee you over 90% of them would choose Red Dead
Star
Redemption.
Wars
Without doubt. No, those Red Dead Redemption is an absolutely fantastic game.
Look up the reviews for Star Wars Outlaws and look up the reviews for Red Dead Redemption, and I'll rest my case.
God, that's a good point. That's a good point. I would rather play Red Dead Redemption over any of these games, but
sorry, George.
But then again, you told me it was the Switch version. And I was like, oh God, please no.
Listen, put your cowboy hat on, pour the bath, get your peanut butter out, and play it on the go, vertically, horizontally, whatever way you want. You can play it in your loft. You can play it in your conservatory.
Wonder where that was going in.
Yeah, I did.
You can play it anywhere, and it plays fantastic.
On the Switch.
Over 30 hours I was on that. I completed it and I was still running around.
You're not even playing with the right button layout.
So
Everything's backwards. B, X, and Y, all of it's backwards.
There is that. But when can I do
my in the mirror?
That's true. He's got a point there. He got me on that one. All right, George, would you like to pitch on Star Wars Outlaws?
Of course I would. A long time ago in a galaxy far away, sometime in the 70s, there were a cult of people born that were raised up in the Star Wars ethos. Now that lore surrounds us, it binds us, it holds the galaxy together, and for years we've waited for this opportunity to skip through the sands of Tatooine at our own leisure. We want to be able to take stormtroopers down. We want to be in the Star Wars universe, but not necessarily a Jedi. We want to be a scoundrel. We want to be a rogue. That's probably the best content you've ever submitted to the show, RGT, so keep it up.
Wow.
The game for me was the ultimate Star Wars sandbox. Yeah, if you don't like Star Wars, then yes, Star Wars has took one hell of a kicking since it moved to Disney, and maybe before. But with all that aside, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. I'm gagging to get my disc drive for the Pro so I can go in and play DLC. I'm even tempted to buy it again digitally just so I can get on with facing the mighty Lando today. Oh, what's this? Like a blooper reel where she just constantly, oh no, it's playing. Okay, that's
this is my gameplay for it.
Nice. Okay. Well, as you can see, I think it looks great. The open world, the way that you can just indulge those fantasies. You can play Sabacc. You can do literally anything you want to do. And I thought the story, actually, when it finished, was pretty half decent. It didn't have the weight of Jedi Fallen Order, but does everything need to be that weighty to be enjoyable?
Is it better than Jedi Fallen Order?
Heck no.
It's not better than Fallen Order, but it's better than Survivor.
No.
So it's not even the best Star Wars game.
Oh no, Knights of the Old Republic is still sitting right there.
Gosh.
1 and 2.
Was it made by Rockstar?
No, this is Ubisoft.
Oh,
I've got a full voting point to use here.
He really does. He really does. He's stacked up this goodwill and he's using it. He's cashing in money in the bank right now.
Look. At the end of the day, RGT said, look, George is director of the show, and we know the old salary reviews are coming up. So let's maybe just keep quiet and just let him have this one.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be fair here as the host of it. George is cashed in, and I'm marking it down right here. 1.5 markers of the vote. So he almost has 2 votes.
Oh.
There was never more scum or villainy. We should be cautious.
Can I just put a little video out for my Under the Waves?
Under the Waves? Yeah, sure. Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up, Art.
How many snore noises do I hear during your? I tell you what, mine was the most impassionate one, and it actually flowed. It went from Galaxy. As I was saying it, I was like, "This is gold," and you were like, "You were just killing me." I was like,
You were
"Oh,
literally in salesman mode selling the game a 7 out of 10, and because you've
George,
got
while I
rose-tinted
pull up
glasses on for Star Wars,
while
that is
I
why.
pull up the video for Under the Waves, can you at least tell people what Star Wars Outlaws is about for the people who don't know what Star Wars Outlaws is?
you're a rogue, K-Vess. You're out there. You're trying to set up the biggest heist ever in the history of your life without giving too much away. That at least that's the opening blurb. And for that reason, those kind of roguish activities are what really makes the game. It's set between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, so you can visit Jabba's palace and look at Han frozen in carbonite on the wall. You can fight a Rancor. You can even go and have a little snoop around Luke's Tatooine home. It is the best Star Wars game ever made.
Will anyone,
I
will
was with
anyone
you until I wasn't.
Yeah, yeah.
in,
Best
in
Star Wars
10
game
years'
ever
time,
made.
in 10 years' time, if you said to people, will you remember Star Wars Outlaws? They're going to go, which one was that? But it's already been 10 years. And you could say, do you remember Red Dead Redemption? And they'll go, what a game.
Exactly. Now, as you can see on here, playing is Under the Waves. Now, this isn't a game which is used an engine from an open world system they've used for about 20 years using a popular IP. This is a game.
It was a mistake to go teeth out for Outlaws because what you've shown me there is you're scared.
No,
This is a
because
Dave the
I'll tell
Diver
you what.
DLC.
I'll tell you what I'm showing you is this is my number one game. So this
It is his number one game.
it's
to
my
be
number
fair.
one
I
game because it's a beautiful story. It's about a man who's troubled mentally, who is going down under the ocean to do his job, to work for the rigs, and you can see between doing your work and living his troubled life, the issues that he faces. So you have that coalition between doing your daily work and also trying to get him to deal with the issues that have been facing him for a few years. Beautifully done. Looks really good. I love the world. It's unique. They've tried something different. And the story's just very well written. It's lovely acted. And what I always say, especially like expeditions, if a game sets out to give you a feeling, this one was to be alone and solitude and be completely detached from everyone, and this game does it. I thought it was brilliant. I think it's very, very underrated. Not enough people have played this game.
What platforms is
that.
it on, RGT?
That's on PS5. If you've got the premium, you can download this for free. So it's on the
Okay.
premium.
I'll check that out.
It's on
it is
every platform.
wonderful.
I think it's available. I don't know about Switch because I don't keep up with Switch like that, but I know it's on
Well,
pretty much every other platform.
Yeah, it's it's different, and that's why I like the game. It's a different story in a different setting, and I thought it was fantastic. It had me very close to tears at points, and I think when the game can do that, when it's telling you the story, then there's something special about that game.
You weren't chopping onions again, were you, while you're playing it?
Yes.
May I make a suggestion, everyone?
Can I just say one thing, my piece, if I may? We had to give RGT his time because that was his number one game. But Seb, what was my number one game?
It was Outlaws as well.
And what was my number one game, Seb?
It was Red Dead Redemption for the Switch.
Oh my!
Yeah,
Really?
this is Murder's Row, and also my number one game was Metaphor Refantasio.
Oh.
But now,
Who's
I've
got
heard great
who's
things
got
about that.
voting rights left?
now here's what I'm proposing, though, everyone. All right, so
Oh yeah.
here's how I think this is gonna play out. So Bobby had
Let me
Silent
tell you
Hill
how
2.
it's going to play out, Seb.
Hold on. Hear me out. All right, Silent Hill 2. You know, Bobby's vote is going to win Horror Game of the Year for the UCP Awards.
Yes.
Under the Waves, I'm going to give Narrative Game of the Year. Red Dead Redemption 2,
Sweet.
Switch Game of the Year.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Better than Tears of the Kingdom. Better than any of those Mario IPs.
He's not wrong.
Switch, I think that's absolutely okay. But all right, and then I'm going to put RPG of the year to Metaphor Refantasio.
Oh, well done. I thought
And-
you were going to say Star Wars.
And then Star Wars Outlaws is going to be our fourth game.
I fought hard for it to be number 4 on this list. Let
Yeah.
you just remember that. And out there, if you're watching, Star Wars nerds, come support me on the Discord because it's obviously
Who
I'm out.
don't like the game.
And the only reason I'm giving it to Outlaws because this is not it doesn't taste good. But George does have 2 votes. So
Yeah, that's fair enough. I was about to roll over, to be honest, and throw one in the bin. So.
And I haven't had to use it yet, so you better be nervous.
Oh no, that counts.
Oh no,
That
like
counts.
No, that's
no,
counts.
this is you cashed it in now.
All of
You
it.
cashed it in. Oh
Yes.
yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. One, 2, and 3 are already decided.
Oh, this is a hill worth dying on then, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, this is the final. Like,
I've never
outcome
fought
debate
so hard for
everything.
4th place in my life.
Look how happy he is. Look at him sitting
Oh,
there,
no.
all royal regal. Look at him, glowing from ear to ear, grinning.
All right,
I am just stoked that this game, actually, in our recognition of it, through my own hard work and childishness, has actually managed to crawl itself into the number 4 position.
You know what?
I
If
will
you love
be-
a game and it's got their fair play, you loved it. You enjoyed it. It was
It
your
was-
little baby.
it was
You enjoyed it.
Freaking great.
Mm.
So good.
It was so good. It's going to kill off a company.
I don't think it's
It was so
responsible for
good.
that.
It was
Wow.
so good. Ubisoft is about to die and get bought out by
Rest in
Tencent.
peace, Assassin's Creed Rogue.
I love you keep
But-
doing the.
Yeah.
You gotta do it's for the YouTube video. You gotta do the throat chop.
It
Gives
was
them a reason
so
to
good.
go there.
It was so good. It killed off an entire company. Everybody, are you ready for the big 3?
I am
Here we
hyped.
go. Come on. Come on.
Are we having a recap countdown, or are we going straight in?
Oh, well, let's do
No,
a recap
it's up to
countdown.
George.
Let's do a recap countdown at 2, and then we'll sort of maybe have a little guessing game, which is 2 and 1.
Oh,
George
okay.
sipping
all right.
neat
So-
vodka.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that's got me through this.
To be fair,
It's
that's,
charming.
If
that's-
you're listening or watching at home, and you're under the age of 18, go grab your parents' vodka from the cabinet.
drink responsibly, everyone. Here we go.
Yeah, I was going to say that's monetization gone.
Yeah.
If you're earning, you're earning. If you're not, say crazy stuff.
All right, everybody. Here we go. Does anyone want to take a guess? Our third place spot.
Rotato.
Okay, that's a good guess.
Dredge.
Dredge, yeah. I was going to say Dredge.
God, no.
Our
Yes.
number 3rd spot goes to. Can y'all
here
see
we
it?
I'm waiting for it.
Yes!
Yeah.
It is Dredge,
And that
everyone.
is a 2-time Poncie ranked game. This
Yes.
featured in 2024. Sorry, 2023 I made the list.
Yeah.
And now it's back with a bang. Is it moved higher up the list in 2024?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Virtual high five, Scott. Virtual high five.
But in terms of DLC, yeah. Right back up your RGT. What a game.
This beats Star Wars Outlaws. Jesus
Exactly.
Christ.
Oh, you are,
That's the way he thinks about it. This is
yeah.
hard.
The funny
should
thing
be
is,
appreciated that
this-
Star Wars Outlaws is that high to start with. It's even on the list.
This is the day where the show fragments. I go off and you guys just do what you do. I can't even contemplate this anymore.
That's a brilliant, brilliant game.
So everybody, when I first saw the list, and this was the point in the list where I was like, "Oh God, we're recapping a lot of old games." But then I thought to myself, I'm like, I should be proud of myself because I put these guys on to Dredge.
Yes, you
I
got me
taught
on
to
Dredge.
Dredge up, and I was like,
well, you got me on Dredge, and then I got Scott on Dredge.
"Yeah,
So that's how it followed along. Yeah.
am I the new pastor?"
I
This is
think
what
you
I
are.
thought to myself. I'm
Have
like,
you ever
I-
not been pastor?
Oh, that's the deep cut.
Mm.
That's the deep cut. I was just like, I
guys,
I-
before this game, I didn't know what the word dredge meant. I thought it was
Oh,
either
it's
a haircut
fantastic.
or a long leather coat. I didn't know. I had to get a dictionary out. So also educational game of the year.
So everyone,
Fair play.
Scotty voted for this. RGT voted really high for this as well. Do y'all want to talk about why y'all voted high for this game?
I want to
'Cause I-
talk about this third place cover. I love it. This is
Yes,
sexy
Oh, do you
brilliant.
like this, by the way?
That's
I love
very
it.
good. Yeah.
I love
This
it.
has added
Beautiful.
another level of production value to the Poncies that there's nothing that I could never achieve. So I'm very happy. Looks great.
So guys, what do y'all think? You voted for it. It got third place. How you feeling right now?
Go on, RGT.
For me, I think it is again. I think it's what some of these indie devs do. They have an idea and they run with it and they do it differently. You haven't always got to do an open world RPG. You haven't always got to do turn based. You haven't always got to do a sports game. They had an idea and they went with it. And if you talk to anyone and say, well, you know, what's this game about? You say, oh, well, you're on a fishing boat and you're catching fish. You're like, oh, well, that sounds boring. No, it isn't. Artistically, it looks good. It runs really well. It's got a very lovely, almost storybook story to it. But then you've got things added in like upgrades. You want to grind a bit to upgrade your boat and upgrade what you can catch. And I just think that they lure you into that world. I think it's a lovely world. You want to try and upgrade your engine to get to further islands to then progress the story more. And if it's a game for me, if it's a game that you just keep thinking about during the day and you want to come home from work and you want to put on and try and progress some more and you just love it that much, then I think it's got to be in the top three and Dredge is for me.
Scott, what about you?
Say no more. He summed it up perfectly. The game is beautiful, and when you even describe the game or people see it, they think, "Oh, that just looks really relaxing. Lovely story. There's loads of upgrades." I remember when RGT described it, he said it again. It was a perfect balance where it gets challenging, but then it's sort of there's a little carrot dangle. You're able to work out what to do, upgrade your ship, upgrade things to carry on. You end up going further out and being able to explore even further of the story, and that's without getting on to the main twist in the tale. That there's a monster out there, guys, hunting you when it's dark. So it's so much originality to it. It really is, and it's not been done before, but not even close. There's nothing like this. Nothing.
No,
it's a
brilliant.
really, really solid, standalone, inventive game. Very creative, very beautiful artwork. It's so original. And again, it's a bit of a hidden gem for a lot of people, even though it's been around for a long time. And look how well it's supported with the DLCs and crossovers. It's phenomenal. Honestly, I can't say a bad word about it. I've got a friend who's played so many hours because he's trying to get every single fish species. It's his go-to game. Like Animal Crossing. He's done the story, but he's just playing it each night, plugging away because that's his go-to game. So
I think you're right. If it weren't for the show and having to swap games a bit, I would have done the same thing. That game hooked me in that much. Pardon the pun. That I would have done that. I was going to be looking at getting all the fish, doing everything, getting the platinum, but obviously I moved on different games.
And
George,
it's
have
on
you
Switch.
played Dredge yet?
Why
George,
Dredge?
Yeah, have you played this?
I didn't vote for this
No,
tribe.
I know you didn't vote for it, but have you played it? Have you
I
tried
haven't
it
actually.
out?
No, I've had it
Okay.
I've had it on the back burner for a while. It's always intrigued me. I've just never got round to it. I don't object to it being here at all. I mean, the fact that it's a double time top 10
Poncie
award nominee at the Poncies, it shouldn't make me angry. It speaks for itself. If Cream rises to the top, it does. It makes me a little bit intrigued to see Knights of the Old Republic in at one. But
Guys,
Halo 2 in at 2.
I'm pretty sure it's also got the mummy sticker, I think, on the case.
guys, it also
It did.
one of the things that kind of made me chuckle while I was calculating all the tallies and all that kind of stuff is how many aquatic based games are in this list this year? Between Under the Waves, Dredge, Dave the
I've
Diver.
done 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I've put 3 in.
Yeah, I was just it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Too much
Well, it's
time
dry.
in Speedos.
It's dry January, so you got to get some moisture somewhere, haven't you?
All right, guys. Are y'all ready for the number 2 spot?
Make it rain, baby.
I'm intrigued by this. I'm intrigued.
I'm nervously excited about what this might be.
Okay.
Oh, I'm damp at the pants.
Anybody got any damn pants? Anybody got any guesses?
Well, seeing as we're stratospherically high above my Star Wars Outlaws, which is my number 1, I can't even begin to imagine what you bunch of Neanderthals have put through higher than that. Honestly.
Okay.
Helldivers 2, I should imagine.
God, can you imagine? What, Scotty, your guess? You got anything?
Um, Super Mario 2 for the NES.
RGT, you out?
Yeah, I don't know. I've still got one of my top four in, but I think that's going to be number one, to be honest.
All right, let's see. Gentlemen, are you ready?
Oh, maybe I'm
Could
wrong.
be Bobby's Diablo making
I'm
another
wrong.
round.
I think I'm here.
Gentlemen,
This is
our
not
MLB.
number
good.
2 game
Ah,
of the year.
No way.
I know what number one
Helldivers
is in.
2.
By the time I got this, there was no one online.
That's
They're back on it
unswitched.
now. They're back on it now, Scott, because of the new faction.
If there's anyone listening, please add me as a friend. I've got no one to play with.
I
All
haven't
right.
played it yet. I'll jump on with you, mate. We'll play
Thanks,
together.
mate.
So this was another game that was multi-voted, which is the reason it got in. Bobby voted this extremely high. He voted
did.
this extremely high, and you voted, George. You were the actual like nail in the coffin for Star Wars Outlaws being not being higher than this.
Wow. And
What?
you're not a multiplayer guy, George.
No, let me, if I may, take the microphone for a moment and just say, admittedly, it's cooled down now. But when this game first dropped, it was hotter than the surface of the sun. It was an enjoyable romp with friends. I don't play multiplayer, but I would jump on with some faceless no ones and play this for hours. There was something about the camaraderie. There was something about the way the missions played out. I've talked about it on the show. You know, when you first start playing it, anyone that's playing the game prior to you, when you join, you treat them like a god. You follow them around and you worship them. But then you become that guy that people join and worship because you know what you're doing. It's a fun game. The baddies, you're literally putting them down 1 inch away from your from your rifle at some points in the game. It's frantic. It's pressured. It's exciting. The multiplayer element of it adds a whole new dynamic to it, which I never thought I'd enjoy, but did.
Mm.
There's so much sort of fun to be had with it. You look at it here and you think, oh, this isn't fun, but it's ridiculously crazy fun when you're in it.
And it's got that Fallout style charm to where like they're so comedic and they're so like they're not
Yeah,
like
humorous.
super serious. They
That's
don't.
that to me is the kicker. If you looked at this as we are now with the sound off, you'd just think it was another bro shooter. But when you get into it and start playing it, you realise it is exactly the opposite of that. You customise your loadout how you want with your perks. The game is incredible. Like, yes, the fire has dampened down a little bit, but the resurgence of the um, extra alien species from the first game on Vita and PS4. This is how you take a game from a 2D top-down isometric game and make it 3D and make it awesome. I would actually go out on a limb and say if we'd done the Poncies mid-year last year, this probably would have won. The fact that it's made a strong enough impression
Yeah.
on us
If it
in the
was
first,
July. Yeah.
yeah, in the first few months, it made such a strong impression that it's hung around and stayed this high in our circulation. I didn't think this. I honestly thought this was dropped down in the honourable mentions. The fact that it's here, I think it's great to see. It makes me wonder what the hell number one is.
The
I
crazy
know what
thing
number
is,
one is.
George, the crazy thing
Hogwarts
is, it's
Legacy.
like if you wouldn't have
Switch.
voted for this as high as what you would have done, Star Wars Outlaws would have been higher.
Can I ask a question, George? How did you submit your list to Seb of your game nominations?
I just wrote my games down from 1 to 10, 1 being the one I like the most, and 10 being the
How
one
did
I like
you
the least.
on paper, or how did you send it to him? Just out of interest, how did you send it to him? Was it on the phone?
I'd sent it on the phone digitally. Yeah.
So because all it was when this came up, I wasn't sure if it was autocorrect, and you actually tried to put in muff divers. I wasn't sure if it,
Muff
you
divers.
typed it
To be
in.
honest, I tried to rent that from Ray when he picked us
It's a
up.
hentai game.
Yeah.
Oh God,
No, it's far from a hentai game.
I thought it was gonna be about cars.
No,
Mufflers.
I think getting back on track to the game. Getting back on track to the game. Knowing George as well as I do, for him to vote a multiplayer online game as high as he has,
Yes.
that is praise enough for me. Because although I haven't played Helldivers 2, this if this first time you're watching or listening to this, George is not a multiplayer guy
I hate it.
online. So for him to play
Same
this
here.
and then vote this is one of his top top games, I think fair play. Then that proves how
Can,
good
can
Helldiver's doing.
we also say that this is our multiplayer game of the year?
Oh,
Beautiful
without doubt.
Sebastian.
Without doubt.
Yeah, that's a great
Sure, if you
shout.
want to.
I
Yes,
think that's a good
I
shout, George.
Gotta be, yeah, gotta be.
Give me a second. Let me
What
cook.
about Mario and Luigi Brothers though? That was a very good multiplayer game.
I don't think you
Come on.
even voted for it, though.
Nah, of course not.
He don't play Nintendo like Chelp on his Switch. He don't want a part of it. No, not one bit.
That is
I-
crazy, though. You have the Switch and didn't even
I
vote
know.
for any of the
I like
Nintendo
to
games.
play. I like to play all the games you guys play, but a scaled down, lesser version. That's my
Yeah.
style.
So I call it a cataract version.
Yeah, yeah.
Good lord.
Wow, cataract simulator.
You try on someone's glasses at work and you think, "Cool, they look funny." Long, you look
That's
through
normally
and you
mine.
think,
Yeah.
That's what it's like when I'm playing on my Switch. I might as well be drunk while I'm playing it. It's all over the shop.
Perfect. Knowing on the Switch store as well, there's some sort of random cash-in for Helldivers on there. It's probably
Yeah.
called Muff Divers, Scotty.
Del
All
Hivers.
right.
Del Hivers
Everyone-
won.
Bell Divers.
Here we go. The number one game.
This has got to be.
And
GTA 5,
here we go.
PS3 version.
the Trevor DLC.
Yeah, there we go. It's gonna be.
Oh.
The number one game for you audio listeners and the winner of the
And
Game
rightly
of the
so.
Year award for the
Rightly
UCP is
predictable.
Astrobot.
Brilliant. Superb
The
game.
only game, by the way, this year that had
Congratulations.
3 nominations.
Mm.
The only game.
I voted for this.
Yeah, I did.
What
I
is
did
it? Is
too.
it what is this? Mario Odyssey DLC?
Yeah, it is.
In Nintendo's dreams.
Is the most technically sound Mario game ever invented.
Yeah.
Is what I would probably say. Like the most high tech Mario game ever invented.
For the
I think-
audio listeners, have we said what it is yet?
Yeah, it's Astrobot, everybody. The 2024 version of Astrobot. So, RGT, why'd you put this on your list?
Whose is this footage? Is this yours?
Yeah, this is me.
You
You're
haven't
really
died
good.
yet.
It's very good.
Obviously, that's why you didn't like it, George.
That's
But-
exactly why I hated it.
I think I've always loved Astrobot, even from the VR days. Getting George to play the VR when he was quite critical of it and then loved it on VR. It's one of them games that you just know it does everything correct. Not only that, it looks gorgeous as well. Not only that, if you're a PlayStation fan, there's loads of that little legacy tucked in there. There's the characters you can pick up. There's old games that are mentioned.
Little nods, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, not only that, the controls are brilliant. It's very tight. You know damn well if you die, it's on you. It's not on the game.
I don't know.
No,
Sam,
not
this
at
is
all.
impressive,
Not at
this
all.
footage.
This game is tight, and you know it. That's only because you're rubbish at it.
What did you say, Scotty?
No, I just said your footage is tight, isn't it?
Yeah,
Very, very impressive.
I think as well.
I tried hard on this.
I think if you have a 3D platform like this, you need.
Oh, that's Parappa the Rapper Man.
You need a mascot that is everyone really loves, and I think everyone really
Gex.
loves Yeah, exactly. But even so, my missus, my daughter, they don't play
Knack.
Astrobot, but they love Astrobot. They think he's really cool. He's cute. He does really cool things, and when he dresses up or does the different stuff, it's really funny. And I just think he's a lovable character. I think he's great for PlayStation. I think the game's
Is
as a
there-
3D platformer is nearly perfect. Fantastic game, absolutely fantastic game, and rightly so. Game of the year.
George,
Yeah.
why, after all of our conversations about you not quite loving Astrobot, but you respecting it, why did you put it so high on your list? Because I think this was like 4 or 5
Well,
for you.
There was no kayak VR this year, so you had to put something in.
I did, and sadly, submerge or whatever it's called was too late. No, let's be honest here. I liked the original Astrobot, the pack-in on PS5. It was perfect and very much this. Now, the only reason why I held back on this a little bit is because I've played every single one of Astrobot's other entries. I played Playroom, I've played Astrobot VR, I played the pack-in, I played the the pack-in where we really saw him for the first time, where people fell in love with him, on the VR1 headset demo disc, where he was literally just a throwaway experiment to see whether this style of gaming would work in VR. I think they discovered themselves that they had a little bit of something going on with this guy, and he's replaced Sackboy in people's eyes in many
Sackboy is
ways.
dead now. He's
Yeah.
dead because of
Listen,
Astrobot.
Sackboy was doing all the mascot shtick on the PS3 before this guy even got out of bed.
That's true.
I thought Sackboy was Stingray's pet. Little pet he had on the leash, his little gimp he had in the level suit. You know?
Gimp.
I thought you were going to say it was his pet bed sock. I was like, wow.
Wow.
No, Astrobot, though, all joking aside, you can't take away from the fact that it is a tight controlling, fun game with a nod to PlayStation's history. If you haven't burnt yourself out on Astrobot, and I shouldn't think anybody else even has, other than me, this game came at the right time. It was the right size. It was the right price. It was the right sort of dollop of fun that I think that gamers were looking for in a year that's been a little bit barren of games in some ways. That was kind of indicated by our list, in all honesty.
Definitely.
This game was a kind of breath of fresh air palate cleanser that maybe not only gamers needed, but the industry needed. So there's my 10 penneth worth on Astrobot.
And it did kind of shadow drop as well, didn't it? Come out of nowhere.
No, it didn't shadow drop. They just had like a short.
I just had no internet on that week or something.
Yeah, it just had like a short kind of lead up to it, because I think they only talked about like 3 months prior to it. So like I think this game is fun. I do think, like as George said, I do think there is a little bit of repetition. It's like we've kind of
To be
seen
fair,
some
though,
of this.
all 3D platforms have repetition.
Exactly.
It's what it's about, and it's the
Exac-
genre, really.
Exactly, but I do think this pushes the genre forward, especially on a technical level. From
exactly. Yeah.
what we expect of like 3D platformers. I think Nintendo has kind of gotten into this kind of like stale repetition, to where I'm like, we were kind of like, oh, we've seen that. They have to come up with fun gimmicks now to kind of like push out a new 3D platformer. But Astrobot, I think the gimmick is just the high quality of it. The fact that, like, this isn't just, oh, this is good, but it's being bottlenecked by the Switch. No, this is like, what if we had a high budget, unlimited frame rate version of a 3D platformer that also can have like the best controller on the market, the best like gyro sensors on the market. Like, this is what, honestly, this is like the dream Nintendo game for a lot of people, in the way of like, oh, what if we actually had a $500 console versus a tablet that's been on the market for 10 years? And I'm not even trying to throw shade at the Switch. I'm just trying to speak to like why people really resonated with Astrobot. It's not just the quality of like each level presenting something different, to where like each level does have its own gimmick that doesn't overstay its welcome because it's only presented in one individual level. And the fact that it's also a love letter to PlayStation, as far as like it being a museum of different characters, and all those different characters kind of like culminate and play well within the main like central hub world. Like, you collect those and they also unlock different places, and the fact that they keep upgrading this game. Like, we haven't even talked about the fact that they added like Christmas themed levels into this game, that, and like time trial runs and such like that. I had this midway on my list, but honestly, it was like a fight between it, Metaphor, and V Rising for me, to where I was just like, at any.
This is the perfect this is a perfect game to tie a pretty bow on PlayStation's 30th anniversary celebrations this year. This is basically the gaming incarnation of that 30-year celebration. The fact that there are so many bots to collect, they are so instantly recognizable, suggests to me they've been doing an absolutely bang-up job. Fair play to them. And another, I would say, an award that they're so desperate to add to the sideboard at Mumsy's at Sony Towers, that this is the one that they're most desperate for, the Poncie.
This is what Crash Bandicoot 4 should have been.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is going to be the mascot for them moving forward, because I'm like, I don't see a world where they are enthused on Sackboy sales and Sackboy's critical response and reception and think like, hey, we're still gonna bring that back. I'm like, I think this is Astrobot's world and everyone's just living in it now on the PlayStation side, you know?
I think also you got to remember of Astrobot at the time it came out, everyone is so obsessed with ray trace and graphics,
Yeah.
60 frames per second, 120 frames per second, massive open worlds. And Sony had gone, well, you can have nice graphics, you can have good controls. Here's a little 3D platformer for you, play that. At a time when no one was talking about 3D platformers, and you just think, do you know what? That's how it is done if you want a 3D platform. And that's why I voted it so high, because for me, it is the best 3D platform. I think it's just done so well. I think I love, from music to the layout of the stages, to how many stages, to the characters, to the love letter to PlayStation. Everything is just really well done. And you just think, yeah, that's how you do it.
I'm just grateful it's not True Crime Streets of LA, if I'm honest, at our number one spot, because we lost all our credibility.
How dare you
That's a
discredit the
random
name of
game.
True Crimes?
I'm sorry. I'm researching true crime at the moment, and I didn't mean it as I did mean it as a slight.
Yeah. 1 minute you're fighting crime, next minute you're fighting the devil. That's true crime for you.
Honestly,
What more?
I would love
Yeah.
a modern
What more?
day like game like that right now. I feel like that's sort of missing in the market. But anyways, like guys, I want to thank y'all for giving me your list, by the way, because I know like
No,
it's
thanks for
kind
doing
of
it, Seb.
yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
kind of hard to calculate and formulate, your feelings of the cumulative year. I want to ask you though before we move on and say our, bid adieu and such like that. How did y'all feel about this year? Like how, was it hard coming up with your list? Like can you give a little inside track for
Yeah,
the
I mean,
listeners here?
I'll hit there. To be fair, I found it a year where I've had some personal distractions. I've got a few bits going on. Um, and the games just didn't seem to come as hard and as fast. There were games this year, but were they to my certain palate? No, not really. So I've been kind of making do with my backlog and the things that came along, and the things that did come along that intrigued me: Star Wars, Astrobot, obviously MLB. They Helldivers, they hit hard and they've ranked appropriately. The other chelp I've been playing is me, as you said eloquently at the start of the show, said was me cleaning out my backlog. It's a pretty deep and devilish backlog, to be fair, as you can tell by some of my nominations. And I'm glad I bought F1 24 Manager on the Switch. Yeah, you heard me correctly. January this year, because, well, I'm going to save this talk for another day, but let me tell you now.
I was
Yeah.
gonna at one point, if I had 15
Mate.
games, I was gonna put in there. What was a game I really enjoyed this year, but I thought I can't bring that to the table. Oh, that was it. Anime Girls, Son of a Beach.
God,
What? I mean,
Is
I'm
that
looking
even
at
really a
at the
game?
stats here, and so that's what we've ended up with. Is it Star Wars Outlaws? Yeah, Helldivers 2. No, that was my list. That was the game. That was the Poncies, as far as I'm concerned.
Can I share with you my careful selection process of how I wrote out my
yeah, for
top 10?
sure.
Yes.
So
Give us
I
your deep
got,
dive,
I'll tell
Dr.
you, so
Dobbs.
it involves a lot of analytics, going through different research and looking at hours played.
On
So
a
I was
napkin.
very, very thorough. So I got 5 frisbees, 5 paper planes. I walked into the games room. I spun round 10 times clockwise, 10 times anti-clockwise. I threw the paper planes and said frisbees around the room. And whichever game they landed closer towards, those were the 10 I thought I'll bring into the Poncies.
That explains horse racing.
He loves that, though. He loves that.
It's
Oh, I
because
know he does.
I've
I know he does.
I've got 10 copies of it.
Mate,
Guys,
Something for the
I want
future.
to.
physical, they were a very expensive game. If you've got 10 copies and I want pictorial evidence, that's insane. That is insane.
That's the reason they're only expensive because I brought 10 copies. I only made
That's the
11.
only-
Yeah,
There's only 11 printed.
There's one out there.
One out there, yeah.
I live in hope of finding
500.
it. Yeah, I live in hope of finding it in the wild.
Guys, I want to propose something to y'all since it is award season right now. I've been keeping track of like the games we nominate and vote for. You saw the spreadsheet. There's a lot of tabs now going forward. I would like to propose every year we have a nomination for the Hall of Fame, the UCP Hall of Fame.
Wow. I agree
You
with
know,
this. Did we put one in last year or not?
yes, yeah. So I think let me see if I can pull up the Hall of Fame list for so far and whether or not we had anything in the Hall of Fame going forward. Give me 1 second, y'all. While I'm bringing this up, I want to ask each of you, do
No,
you
in fact,
have a?
RGT needs to tell us how he picked his
Oh
games.
yeah, for sure.
Um, for me, there's a lot of mainstream games that people play, and I jump on as well. But I sometimes like to look at games as something that's that little bit different. I mean, there's games that didn't appear on the list that I've really enjoyed. Signalis or Signalis, however you do it for the Switch.
You
I
got your honorable mention. You got to the honorable mention part, by the way.
Yeah, I really loved that. I thought that if you're a Resi Evil fan, I thought that had that in space. I loved that. That was really good. Trine 5, I'm a Trine fan. That was on my list as well. That's just that puzzle platformer. Brilliant. No one else does it that way. I think it's really good. You could keep shaking your head, George. You had Star Wars Outlaws at 4. So
At least I can play quietly.
so I did have a lot of indies on this year, and I think that says a lot for where we were this year. If you remember last year, guys, we were swamped with games last year, what we had on our list.
Big time.
And I mean, I even had Halo on there because I was playing so many games, and Halo stood out to me because I played it the first time. But yeah, I think it was games I put the most hours in and really enjoyed, and games which were different. That Dredge, that Signalis, that Dave the Diver, them indies that you sort of thought, oh, hang on, there's something here, and you put the hours into them. That's how I sort of done my list this year. What about you, George?
I've done my bit.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. You were zoned
Oh,
out.
I must have
You
fell
were zoned
asleep.
out.
Sorry, I thought he was talking about Star Wars Outlaws again.
He was choosing his list for next year.
I think I'm the only one who hasn't told
Run it
everyone
through the
about
copy.
my little process here. Like I just write reviews for all these games throughout the year, and I'm like I keep a tally on what number I gave everything, and then like I just basically sort by that number, and whatever is the highest is, and if there's a tie, I kind of let my heart decide at the moment, but like outside of that, I haven't written or given anything a 10 in a very long time. So like all these were deciding between like I think 1 9 and the rest of them were eights, 8 7s and sixes. So I'm like, outside of that, it was pretty easy, pretty much an easy sort for me. I think the only ones I had like a hard time deciding was like I voted Star Wars out. I think I gave like Star Wars Outlaws, college football, Indiana Jones, and The Great Circle, and a lot of those games. I think I gave them like roughly around the same score. So I was just like, I'll let my heart decide on that one. And if this would I put my list in like a week ago, but like if this would have been like a couple of days ago, I think Star Wars Outlaws or Indiana Jones would have been college football because like college football now has like an error to where I cannot play my dynasty mode at all. Like they deleted it from the
Oh,
server.
Oh dear.
They
Oh dear.
deleted it all from the server, and like a lot of people are complaining about that right now.
is
So
that because they're getting ready to bring out the new college football, or was it just a faux pas on their side?
I think they said like they're looking into it. They didn't say why. People have complained and complained. They've whined. They've basically talked to EA. Like I have a screenshot on my computer where a lot of people were chatting with like the EA chat box, and they screenshot their little conversations. And EA just said, we're looking into it. We advise you just start another dynasty mode. And I'm like, one guy
Oh,
was just like, I'm in year 17. I put like Blood,
how'd you
Sweat, and
lose an
Tears
That's
into
audience?
this,
outrageous.
and
Yeah,
you just want me to start over. I'm like, people are ripping EA a new one right now. So I'm like, had
not
I,
surprised.
yeah, yeah, I think it's well deserved as well. But like, if I would have known that like a week ago, I would have probably put like Indiana Jones or Star Wars Outlaws higher. So
Hmm.
Question for you. I've
yeah,
recently been playing a hell of a lot of Madden 23.
oh yeah, okay.
Is it worth me getting the new one, or am I just going to get the same experience?
It's the exact same experience. The only there's very minute differences. The only thing I think they're taking a lot of the Madden servers offline as well. So I'm like, I would probably if you have Game Pass, I would just wait for the new Madden to come on Game Pass because they always do on Super Bowl weekend. If you can wait that long and wait for
Yeah,
Super Bowl weekend, I would just wait there.
that's end of January anyway, so it's 2 weeks.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
would,
I'll
That's
wait.
exactly what I would do. I was just
I'll
like,
wait.
get it on Game Pass and go about your business because I'm like, I think 23 was one of those to where they say like the server they might take that server offline.
Let's get it on Game Pass. Go
If
about
we
your
if
business.
we recorded this if we recorded the Poncies just 1 or 2 weeks later, my top game might have been changed because Seb, guess what I downloaded this morning on the Switch before a little indie game. Was it an indie game? I downloaded Pizza Tower, the one that you was telling me about.
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah. It's currently on sale. Well, it's not by the time this airs. It was 40% off.
Yeah.
Cheaper it is on
Ooh.
Steam. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to go for it. And I went for Peglin as well.
Well, you
Uh,
want to hold down, guys, because I recently downloaded Yakuza for the Switch, so you may find that that's their Switch port.
Which one? I'll play it. I'll play it at the same time. Which one did you go for?
The only one that's out is it Yakuza Kiwami.
yeah.
Right. Okay. Is
So
it on
guys,
sale or?
I can't remember
Sorry.
if it was. I think it's about £15 in the sale when I got it.
That's good, though. It's good.
do y'all have any games y'all feel like are Hall of Fame worthy? Right now we have in the Hall of Fame right now, we have two games. Marvel Spider-Man and we have God of War Ragnarok. Horizon
Oof.
Forbidden West was nominated, but we didn't push
Mm.
it through.
I think based on the year being quite lax and it having an unquestionable number one position, I would like to, and this is me saying this, and it burns me considering I have to make a sacrifice for Star Wars Outlaws. But I would like to nominate Astrobot for that position.
I think you're right. Definitely.
Here's my
I
thing
was,
though,
I was going to say Balatro,
Oh,
and
yeah,
I didn't even vote for it earlier. I'm just thinking of how much it cleaned up over the
I
course
want
of the months.
I want to push this. I want to ask this to the collective here. I think the Hall of Fame we should keep it as prestigious as possible. I think we should put a rule there that at least two or more people have to play the game in order for it to be nominated and then like actually accepted. So that's why even though I think Belatro's well deserving, I don't think I would like to see y'all actually like play the game and then get your own
Yeah,
formulate your
fair
own
play.
opinions
Fair play.
and then be able to nominate it. Like Astrobot, I wonder because I'm like I think three of us played the game, liked the game, but all none of us put it in our number one spot. It just accumulated to where we had three votes. To where so I'm like, I think RGT's high. I think RGT was highest on it, and he put in number three, right? If
Yes.
I'm
wow.
not
I
mistaken,
did,
yeah.
yeah.
And then I think George was around that 4 or 5 marker, and I was
It was a
around
lot
4 or
lower, yeah.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I was just like. God of War, we put that through, and it was like number one with a bullet, and because like we had, I think two or more people put that number one.
Mm.
Spider-Man, two or more people I think put that number one. So that's why I'm like, I hear you about Astrobot, but I think there's a conversation there. I'm like, did it just win because it was the best All-Star when like nobody else showed up to the All-Star game?
So then, if that's the case, what's the one we all voted for the most?
It is still Astrobot. We voted for it the most. It's just
Didn't put it highest.
it was voted for the most because like more people, like 3 people voted for
Okay,
it. But
then
I thought
if
it was
that's
RGT's game of the year in October. I thought you said.
I
So
think
something
RGT's
changed the
game of the
last
year
3 months.
was that in October.
there's a man who
Right.
listens to the episodes. There's a man
Yeah.
who pays attention. There's a man who's calling out this show for the diabolical mediocrity that it is. He's absolutely right. He's
That's because afterwards I played Under the Waves and that got dropped down a bit.
Yeah.
I say I remember making a thumbnail for YouTube. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I quoted game of the year.
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
what
it's-
the hell is going to be our game of the? What's going to be our Hall of Fame from this year? Because I'm a bit sixes and sevens. I feel like it has to be Astrobot
Mm.
because
Here's my
we
thing.
can't put Helldivers in, can we? And
I don't think
if we're gonna get spicy, I'm gonna terminate this call and shout Star Wars Outlaws, and that effectively makes it the Hall of Famer.
Why don't we
can I
put it to
recommend
the
something?
community in Discord?
Ooh,
I think there should be a community Hall of Fame and then a panel
Yes.
Hall of Fame as well. But they,
Okay.
I want to I want to propose something. I think the Hall of Fame in most sports are not just what wins like the game of the year. It's also like we've marinated on it for a little bit and we want to then we come back on it and we decide like a couple of years later to give something its golden jacket
It's
in the NFL.
dredge, innit?
I hey, I was gonna say
Oh
I
yeah.
was gonna say we marinated on a game and decided it's Hall of Fame worthy, and I was just like, Dredge comes to mind, and Red Dead Redemption comes to mind because I think
If
Red
we do put Red Dead through, it has to be open brackets, switch port. It has to be closed brackets.
No, I think you're right with that. I think for a game that's that old, that was so good originally, has come out on the Switch and smashed it again. I think you've probably got. I mean, I loved Dredge, but I loved Red Dead. I think you've probably got to go with Red Dead. I think.
Oh,
I
I've just
mean
squirted.
in most sports Hall of Fames you can have more than one nomination. It could be I'm just saying I think it's a majority rule sort of thing. Do we have any games that most of us have played over the past, like, like throughout our gaming history that we would like to nominate for the Hall of Fame? I think that's the way we should go about it.
LA
To where like,
Noir.
Good game.
oh,
Completed it. All 3 discs.
ah,
Rockstar's finest behind Red Dead Redemption
Yeah.
and San Andreas.
because here's two that I would so I would like to nominate 4 games here because I think we should actually have a solid Hall of Fame list here.
Okay.
4 games. And hear me out, everybody. All right. I think Dredge because it showed up multiple years on our ballot list. More than one of us have played it, and more than one of us agree it's higher than an 8 out of 10 game. So I think Dredge should be one of them. I think Red Dead Redemption, just across the board, Red Dead Redemption, because most of us love that game. And no matter what we play it for, most of us love that game. I think we should have. Because we have the sequel on there, we should have the original on there. God of War from 2018.
Okay, so what's your 4th hit?
And my 4th hit is
MLB. I knew it was.
I knew you were going to
The
say
show.
MLB.
and it hurts my heart to say this, Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
I think Breath of the Wild because Bobby adores that game. RGT thinks that game's a masterpiece as well. I respect the game, but don't necessarily love the game. It's not a me game. It's more that's my hurdle. It's not a me Sebastian game because I'm super hard in the narrative when it comes to like open world games. So like other than that, I think that I would nominate that because more than one person loved the game and also considered it a masterpiece. George, Scotty, what say you?
Well, that
About
wasn't
the
on the list
nomination.
this year.
No, not just on the years. We're talking about Hall of Fame here.
You want to pad out the Hall of
All
Fame?
time.
Yeah, pad out the Hall of Fame.
I'll tell you what. Let's
This
get
is almost
let's get controversial here because I think we should let me have my say.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think we should pop Astrobot through, and then we should have an episode in February where we have a Hall of Fame induction episode. So
that was what I was going to say.
Astrobot goes through as a nominee from this year, so it gets
a nominee. Okay,
as the UCP Hall of Fame induction for 2024. But what we'll have is a special episode, Hall of Fame induction episode, a little bit like the Poncies, where we all get dressed up. Hopefully, we can get us all in a room.
Can we get are we wearing blazers, guys, or are we just wearing our finest bathrobe?
Yeah, I'm bathrobe. Yeah, perfect. We all turn up like Hugh Hefner, and then we come with our top 5 games of all time, and then we submit that.
How about we do it
Twisted
like
Metal
we do
1,
the game of the
Twisted
year
Metal
list?
2.
Yeah, that's how we'll do it. But we'll do top 10 then.
We'll do top 10 games of the year. Y'all submit them to me. I'll calculate
top 10
it by
games
by
of all time, in our opinion, and then we can pad out all the Hall of Fame and we can have an induction ceremony for them all as they go in through the
George,
through the
can
smoke.
you imagine Sam trying to find footage on Jeff Cramman's F1 Grand Prix on the Amiga?
Well, that's there, mate. If that
Can I ask one question?
yes,
because me, RGT, and Stingray have actually time traveled. Are we allowed to bring games from the future?
No. You physically have to played these games. You physically have had to play these games.
I mean, what the
We
hell
obviously
would
have a-
that be? Far Lapse 10.
Well, I mean, it's for me,
Electro
RGT and
9.
Stingray to know, and you to find out, I suppose.
This is
Yours-
also our first major episode of the year, our first big one. I want to also propose, are there any I think we should have a tentpole games list of these are the games like most of us are guaranteed to play this year.
Mm.
Like a games to play shirtless category, that sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of like the book club, so to speak. But like, I think they're like because this year's a big year. Like this year is actually like the big one. You know, like you got
GTA.
tons of games. Yeah, GTA,
Switch 2.
Switch 2. You already know Civilization 7. But no, it's all seriousness though. I think there's certain like tentpole games we might have to like say, hey guys, as a collective, we need to come together.
And that'd be good
We
as well
gotta
to do
play
an
this
episode
game.
later down the line once we've played them. So the
Yeah.
excitement to see what the excitement was before and how
Yeah,
we got
for
on
sure.
actually afters. Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay.
Sea Monkeys VR.
Listen,
Yeah,
if that's on VR2, I'll get it because there's nothing else.
That'd be his second game.
All right, so guys,
No, mate, there's a game on there at the minute where you're diver. Phenomenal.
Dave or
No, not
So,
Dave
guys,
the
one
Diver.
last-
Yeah, great
one
big
last time for
walking
the
bloody fish fiend.
One last time for the listeners, I want to thank y'all for listening here and bearing with me throughout all this award episode here. Let me go through the list one last time. All right. And number 10 spot, we have Space Marine 2. Number 9, we have Dave the Diver. Number 8, we somehow got Rise of the Ronin. Number 7, we got Expedition. Ship of Fools got our number 6 spot. Number 5, Vampire Survivors. Undisputed won our Sports Game of the Year category. We have Star Wars Outlaws. And also we have Best Narrative Game for Under the Waves. Horror game of the year went to Silent Hill 2. Red Dead Redemption 2, Red Dead Redemption 1, excuse me, re-released for the Switch, got our Switch game of the year. Metaphor ReFantasio got our RPG of the year. And our top 3 goes as follows. At number 3, we have Dredge. Number 2, Helldivers 2. At number 1, Astrobot. And everyone at Helldivers 2 also. It's so good. Helldivers 2 is also a multiplayer game of the year. So everyone, thank you so much for bearing with us, and I hope you enjoyed the UCP Game of the Year / Poncies episode. Guys, what did you think of the list?
I actually thought it was
Brilliant.
probably our least controversial list of all time, even though it potentially was the most controversial going in. I'm happy with how things fell through, and I'm equally as excited to start foisting upon you my top 10 games of all time.
Oh, that's going to be tough.
So
That
we
is
can.
tough.
That's going to be a big episode, and I'm looking forward to scrapping it out.
Mm.
I think we also need to get the UCP community to start to nominate their game of a Hall of Fame recommendation as well. So we
Without
can do
doubt.
that. And we also
Can we
need
make
to-
another tab in the Discord? Because that might be like a lot to go through if everyone posted on the regular
idea.
channel.
Good shape.
There's a way of doing it, isn't there? That I'm sure our wonderful moderators,
Boba.
DigiMonkey and Boba, will make happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't see that being a problem. So we need their nomination for their game of the year, and we need their nomination for the Hall of Fame, and we shall independently work on our Hall of Fames. And I'm very excited for that episode. I think we deserve it, and I think the UCP Hall of Fame is something that is worthy of the accreditation we're going to bestow upon it. So, yeah, if that's us all wrapped up, Seb, I just want to take the time to thank you personally on behalf of the team and the community for what you've done by ratifying and pulling all of our what basically looks like dog sick, and you've actually formed it into something that looks beautiful and actually has respect and command within the industry. So fair play to you, Old Bean. You've done an absolutely smashing job, and thoroughly enjoyed this episode. Probably not
Super.
quite as cutthroat as it's been in previous years. I have to
Yeah,
admit.
previous years we went to blows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
For
went
our
to
game.
blows, and I was saving everything up for Star Wars Outlaws, but it couldn't get it past a 4. So, yeah, I mean, I think I quit. But once I've reinstated myself in the show, I just want to thank everybody. It's that kind of end of the year scenario. We haven't got Bobby here, but thank you to Bobby. Thank you to you, RGT, Scotty, and Seb. You've carried this year. You've independently, obviously, you're all stars in your own right, but you've independently grown within yourselves within the show. You've brought a whole new spirit of the lore, really great senses of humor from all of you. I have to admit, basing an episode or a series in a cult in Texas was always going to be a tough gig, but do you know what, guys? You smashed it. And nomination for Scotty for Lawmeister of the Year. I don't think anyone's single-handedly
Unbelievable.
I don't think anyone's single-handedly cooked up that much storyline since the guy Emmerdale took an LSD tab and went crazy. But fair play to you, and I've loved every single minute of you with you, gentlemen, and I look forward to another year in your presence. And a peace and love to Bobby. He's resting up after liberating us from Pastor's Commune. I mean, I think he broke his spine landing from the jump over the wall, but he grin and bared through it. So, you know, right now he's probably in traction. Probably looks like a carry-on matron. He's probably from head to toe in plaster. But he's happy. And looking forward to welcoming him back as the new year progresses as well. So thank you to all of you. Thank you to everyone that's listening as well. Most importantly, I must thank you for those that contribute financially. So grateful. I sometimes wonder if we deserve it, but you think that we do. So fair play to you. If this is your first episode, thank you for listening, and we welcome you to the family as well. I think that wraps us up. So have a wonderful 2025, gentlemen, and I wish you all the best.
I put this video on to let y'all know El Paso's always lurking in the background.
Well, we've still got to get Scotty out of there while we're kind of chilling in Stingray's Bayou shack. We've still got to liberate Scotty. So, yeah, peace out. Here's to a great 2024 and fingers crossed for an even better 2025. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks, Ed, for that. Superb.
Thank you.
Adios.
Bye-bye.
Bye.